Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, a rematch of Super Bowl 54. Once again, it's the Chiefs and the 49ers, this time in Viva Las Vegas. 11 days out from Super Bowl Sunday, Mark Zinno is here for a second consecutive segment to help us take an early look at the lines and the leans here on the early line. So it's a 1.5 point spread, Zinno, in favor of the 49ers. We have seen some sense of movement in the money line prices the last 48 hours or so. Now, minus 132 for San Francisco, plus 112 for Kansas City. It was as close as an 8-cent difference, minus 112 San Francisco, minus 104 KC. Now it's the heftiest money line price, if you want to call it that, in the last 2 days, minus 132 in favor of the 49ers. Just how razor thin are the edges for Super Bowl 58?
I mean, the general philosophy across all the NFL playoffs is just pick the winner. Don't worry about the spread. And other than the Rams covering and not winning against the Lions, the Packers covering and not winning against the 49ers, and well, they got backdoored theoretically, even though it shouldn't have been that way anyway. But the Lions didn't win, but covered those 3 games. Every other playoff game, the winner covered the spread or was the outright winner. So I think that kind of holds here. I would tell you this much. Let's see. I bet against the Chiefs with the Bills. I bet against the Chiefs with the Ravens. Maybe I should just make it a trifecta and do it once again and bet against the Chiefs with the 49ers. But I don't know if I could stomach losing another bet to the Kansas City Chiefs, especially since I didn't hedge my Ravens Super Bowl future last week and double down on them. That said, yeah, this is going to be a very tight game. I'll tell you what, guys, the only real thing that jumped out to me was the total sitting at 47.5 when it opened, and it hasn't moved yet. I thought there might have been some early action to the over, just given what we saw from the 49ers. But really, this Chiefs team plays so many damn unders, and their offense is not very good when it comes to scoring points. Like, do we equate the Ravens defense and the Niners defense as pretty similar? I would. And they didn't score a single second-half point against the Ravens. They only scored 17 in the game. So I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen the total move at all. I have a play here. I can't exactly 100% endorse it. But if you're playing pure numbers here, Ben, would it be the worst thing in the world for a 7-point teaser to take the Chiefs up to 8.5 and take the total from 47.5 to 40.5 and bet the over? Because 41 is a key total. Like, you get favorable numbers on both sides. I know people hate teasing totals. You're not supposed to do all those other things. But that's the one thing situationally from a numbers standpoint that jumped out to me. Chiefs to 8.5, total down to 40.5 and go over.
I hear the frustration coming through, Mark, and rightfully so, because I also had a Ravens future here. And look, you're going to win and lose some things, but sometimes, like, hey, you know what? If they lost 35-34, you can deal with it. The frustrating way the Ravens lost, where it's just if we could have been offensive coordinators, we think it could have changed. But hear me out on this. We're handicappers, and this is sometimes so hard to do, because you're right about it. Maybe the Miami Dolphins, they were supposed to get beat by the Kansas City Chiefs. Most people are saying, like, you know what? Buffalo's going to get the Kansas City Chiefs, and weren't able to do that. Well, the Ravens are going to take care of the Kansas City Chiefs. They were unable to do that. So after the game, you rant and rave. I come on Monday morning and go, is it just as simple? The 49ers from top to bottom are so much better than the Kansas City Chiefs, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes. And handicapping football games, we're not supposed to take a look at some previous biases that, Mahomes is good and he keeps winning. Each individual game, it's a separate entity. I really want to take the San Francisco 49ers, but I find myself laughing, going like, are you an idiot, Donnie? You're going to watch this Super Bowl. I'm like, I just bet against Mahomes again, and he beat me because he's the best quarterback on the field. Do you find yourself handicapping games based on that by saying to yourself, you know what? I know I'm not supposed to do this, but just bet Brady, just bet Mahomes. It usually works out in your favor regardless of the handicap.
I mean, especially as underdogs, right? You look at Brady's record as an underdog. He covered 71% of the time throughout, especially in the playoffs. I think the number one up even higher. And it's the same thing with Mahomes. I mean, generally, look, if Mahomes is getting a field goal or close to it, the guy doesn't lose all that often. Maybe in the regular season, but certainly not in the postseason. I'm with you. There's nothing that Kansas City does better than the 49ers other than the quarterback position itself. Now, what we've learned is that for Patrick Mahomes, that's not really enough. Here's my biggest thing going into this game. Like, if the San Francisco 49ers allow Travis Kelce to catch more than 6 passes, shame on them. Then you deserve to lose. Because at this point in time, Travis Kelce got 11 targets in the game against the Ravens, caught all 11 damn balls. Like, that is derelict coaching at some point to not turn around and go, I don't care who else beats us. I don't care what no-name receiver they pulled off the street. I don't care what guy who has hands for feet, or feet for hands, rather, is running out there for him. If they catch the ball, they catch the ball. 87 is not going to beat us. And that's really what it boils down to, because when you take that dude away from Patrick Mahomes, that's the easiest way to make him small. That's the easiest way to make him pedestrian, is take 87 out of the game plan. And if the 49ers don't do that, they may as well not even show up for the game, because I don't give them much of a chance.
So the over-under right now is 47.5. It is the lowest total in Super Bowl history, dating back to Super Bowl 50. That was 8 years ago. The Panthers and the Broncos, that game stayed under with a total of 43. Let me just check that real quick to make sure I had the right teams. Yes, Panthers and the Broncos, total under 43. So, Zinno, as we look at 47.5, and it's a 1.5 point spread, it's a couple of cents of difference right now on the money line. I ask you this question. If the total goes over, who wins? If the total stays under, who does that benefit?
Well, again, I would argue that the over favors the Niners here. I mean, we think Chiefs, we think over, we think them scoring, but that's just not the case for the 2023 into the playoffs 2024 Chiefs. The Niners, if they are getting to 27, the Chiefs can't get there. They flat out can't. They don't want this game to stay under. You don't want to be in a one-score, low-scoring game with the Chiefs, because they will make plays when it matters, and their defense is good enough to shut down the pass. The Niners have to score. If the Niners are held to 24 or less, I don't know that they can win this game. I just don't think they will. So the over 100% favors the 49ers for a team that's so defensive-minded for all intents and purposes. You do not want to get into an under shootout with the Chiefs. They're better at it than most people. They're better conditioned. And like I said, with the game on the line, when you need one play, i.e., 3rd and 9, and Patrick Mahomes takes 3 steps back, falling backwards, chucks up a rainbow that somehow lands in the hands of the receiver. It's that kind of play that the Chiefs always seem to make, and Mahomes always seems to make with the game on the line, that you don't want to get involved with. Go blow this team out if you're the 49ers. Push the envelope as much as you can. And that Chiefs team cannot play catch-up. They're not equipped for it.
The best part about, too, that AFC Championship game, when you brought up Travis Kelce moving forward into the Super Bowl, sure, he's going to be a big player, but it was crazy that this is the guy we have to stop, and it was 11 for 11 on targets and catches for over 100 yards and getting into the end zone, which is crazy. But let's focus on the quarterback position here entering into the Super Bowl. Now, technically, they're not one-on-one going against each other, but the numbers are out here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Patrick Mahomes, 262.5 for a passing prop. Brock Purdy, 245.5, and even the rushing yards here. Patrick Mahomes at 25.5 and Brock Purdy at 11.5 here. Are you eyeing one of these quarterbacks to play here on the prop stuff?
Yeah, Purdy will take off for more than 11 yards. Come on, that's a joke. Is that real? Are you guys reading that? You sure it's not a different number? Nah, that's not 71. It's yeah, okay, that's insane. I mean, Purdy actually runs. Like, he's not afraid to take off and go. This is a pretty aggressive Chiefs defense. And although Lamar was unwilling to take off, there were plenty of opportunities for him to do it. Right? Like, that's a maniacally low number, if you ask me, for a guy that has enough mobility. And you saw him take off against the Lions. You saw him take off against the Packers. Like, this is a number here that looks pretty favorable, all things considered. I will say it's telling that they have, in the NFC Championship game, Brock Purdy had a higher yardage prop than Jared Goff did. Obviously, that's because the Lions' pass defense is bad. Now you flip it around, and you're giving Mahomes a more inflated number against a pass defense that's every bit as good as the Ravens. If Mahomes goes over this number, it's because the 49ers are up big, and he is throwing every single down to try and catch up. Like, that's the game script for him to get there. If they play a game script similar to the Ravens and this thing is under, why is Mahomes throwing for 260 yards? It's just, this is not an offense that is equipped for him to do that, only against specific opponents. And the 49ers defense is too good for him to give up that many passing yards if the 49ers are in control of the game and they have a lead.
Mahomes had exactly 262 in that frigid night in Arrowhead against the Dolphins in the opening round of the postseason. Well under that number now in 2 straight games. Did go over his passing yards prop for the AFC Championship with 241. It closed at 239.5. So, Zinno, let's correlate what we are seeing now in the Super Bowl numbers outright in Super Bowl 58 from a team perspective to the individuals. The story has carried over round by round for San Francisco, despite being the Super Bowl favorite, and now it's a pretty minimal edge over the only other team remaining. Brock Purdy, the quarterback for the Super Bowl favorites, was not the favorite to win Super Bowl MVP. That is Patrick Mahomes at plus 140. Purdy back by 60 cents. 2-1, and Christian McCaffrey, third best number at plus 450. Travis Kelce yesterday was 21-1, $5 shaved off that price at 16-1. Zinno, as you play out your thought for who wins Super Bowl 58, then where do you think the best correlated bet is in the Super Bowl MVP odds?
Well, if the Chiefs win, it's got to be Kelce. Mahomes has not played a game worthy of note where you feel like he was the best player on the field. Like, we generally understand that he is, but the point simply is that if they win this game, it's because the Niners can't stop Travis Kelce. They're not going to have a problem stopping Isaiah Pacheco. You don't have to worry about any of the wide receivers doing anything unless something quirky out of the ordinary happens. Which of these wide receivers are you really worried about having a big game? So it's Mahomes or it's Kelce, and I would tend to think that if they win, it's Kelce. On the flip side, there's a lot of voters out there, and the MVP folks have told us this, that they don't even believe Brock Purdy is the best player on his team, let alone the best back in the NFL. So you look elsewhere. This may be the year, and I feel like I've said this the last couple of years, but this may be the year a non-quarterback actually wins the MVP in the Super Bowl. If the 49ers get it, you have to believe McCaffrey has been in the end zone twice, if not more than that, or Debo has done something pretty outstanding. But I don't know that you're going to see a game script develop against this pass defense where you look at it and go, Brock Purdy did something today that not many other quarterbacks could have done against that Chiefs defense. That doesn't feel like something I would say at the end of this Super Bowl.
You take a look at the positional numbers here at the FanDuel Sportsbook to win the MVP. Quarterback obviously is going to be the favorite at minus 280, but we brought up this point a couple times already as well, Mark. If you think this game is to the under, then you might be looking at running back, receiver, tight end, and or defense as a legitimate chance. Because if the game goes over into the 50s, there's probably a good chance that the quarterback threw for 275 plus and multiple touchdowns, hard to knock him out. If you had to take a bet right now and just remove the quarterbacks from the situation, which grouping here, what position do you feel would be a decent wager here on there?
I mean, CMC obviously tilts the scales because he's such a dynamic player, but how can you deny Kelce and Kittle, two of the best in the game at the tight end position, as being the guys that might ultimately sway voters as the most valuable player on the field for the winning side in the Super Bowl? I think those two alone probably, when you look at 1-2, are the most even in position-wise, and two of the more pivotal guys to both of their teams' success offensively. So I would look to tight end.
If you think it is running back, I would just say take the plus 450 individually on Christian McCaffrey. Sure, Isaiah Pacheco could win Super Bowl 58 MVP if the Chiefs are victorious with another Lombardi trophy, but that doesn't seem like a better bet because you have Pacheco grouped in with McCaffrey. He is Mark Zinno, and as always, we appreciate his time.